Hello, Recapped Mystery here. Today, I'm going to explain a horror drama film called The Bad Seed. Watch out and take care. At the start of the film, we witness a 9-year-old girl named Emma Grossman looking out her window at a cat drowning in a fountain. She closes the shutters and continues about her morning routine. With little regard for the drowning cat, Emma is raised by her widower father, David Grossman. She is an outstanding student and a well-behaved child. She appears to be devoid of human feelings. Emma informs him during breakfast that she wants to obtain a citizenship award at school. Angela, Emma's aunt, walks in as the two are conversing. She informs David that she has secured a new babysitter for Emma. Emma's former babysitter had an unfortunate accident. It turns out, Emma points out the dead cat in the fountain while they converse. David takes the cat out, but Emma appears emotionless about its death. A wasp scares the students while they study that day at school. As the students flee in terror, Emma bravely takes a glass and captures a wasp, releasing it outside the window. Meanwhile, David conducts an interview with a babysitter named Chloe. He hires her because he appreciates her portfolio of work. David appears to pique Chloe's interest. Back at school, Emma's friend Katie is playing when she runs into Emma, who assists her in getting up. Their teacher observes the events as they occur. Emma appears to be attempting to be empathetic in order to obtain the citizenship award. Emma practices her smile in front of the mirror that night. The award ceremony will take place the following day. Emma is dressed and driven to school by David. When the teacher reveals that Milo has won the citizenship award, all of the parents and kids in the audience applaud. Emma is quite disappointed. When David tells Emma about Milo's victory, she claims that she deserved it and begins criticizing Milo. When David gives her a disapproving look, she apologizes. Later, when no one is looking, Emma takes Milo to show him a nearby cliff. Emma advances towards Milo when he recommends returning, and the screen goes blank. When Milo's parents ask if she has seen him since the bonfire, she lies and says she hasn't seen him since the blaze. Suddenly, two females emerge from nowhere, pleading for aid. All of the parents rush to see Milo, who has fallen off the cliff and drowned in the sea. His father carries his washed-up body and attempts CPR, but Milo is dead. David asks Emma how she is the next morning at breakfast, but she completely ignores the fact that her buddy died the day before. Later, Chloe, the new babysitter, arrives at the house. David isn't home that night. Emma discovers Chloe in David's room, stealing some of his medications. Emma confronts her about the drugs later, while they are watching films. If Chloe does what she wants, she agrees not to tell David. Emma then instructs her to bring her some ice cream. Chloe refers to the small girl as a bitch, yet she does as she says. Milo's memorial is the next day. Except for Emma, everyone is crying after the ceremony. David speaks with Milo's parents and discovers that the medal is missing. They believe it sank in the sea. Emma then starts crying as well. It's as though she's acting sad in front of Milo's parents. David is concerned about Emma's actions when they return home. Milo's medal is concealed under Emma's mattress when he folds her laundry that day. David goes over the photos from the award ceremony and notices several of Emma staring at Milo. He feels Emma has something to do with his death. Later that day, Emma's teacher, Mrs. Ellis, and a police officer pay a visit to David to discuss Milo's death. Mrs. Ellis reports that Emma was spotted with Milo in the cliff prior to his death. Emma can hear their conversation through the door. To keep the adults from talking, she pretends to fall on a vase and injure herself. Mrs. Ellis and the constable leave when they notice Emma is in pain. David asks Emma if she was with Milo on the cliff while tending to her injuries, but Emma denies it. Emma becomes furious when he admits that Mrs. Ellis said she was, and she exclaims that Mrs. Ellis despises her. The next day, Chloe goes to their side house, where David works. She wonders if she may smoke there, but David says no since there are too many dangerous liquids. Chloe then takes Emma to the street to play on her scooter. While they're at it, the two notice Mrs. Ellis' automobile parked in front of Milo's house. She is speaking with Milo's mother. Chloe claims that they are putting together a case against Emma. She is aware that Emma has done something to Milo. The small girl, on the other hand, acts as if she has no idea what Chloe is talking about. They continue the conversation when they return home. If they find out what happened to Milo, Chloe threatens Emma with the electric chair. Emma is terrified, but she refuses to acknowledge anything. Later that day, Chloe is hunting for Emma around the house when we find the wasp nest that had been in the outhouse ceiling has vanished. Mrs. Ellis then drives away from Milo's house. A wasp distracts her while she is driving, almost causing an accident. When the camera moves to the back seat, she is still driving. There is a wasp's nest there. Emma has placed the nest in her car in an attempt to assassinate her teacher. Back at home, Chloe discovers Milo's medal beneath Emma's mattress. She drapes it in a lamp in David's dresser in order to catch Emma. Emma enters David's room and notices the medal when he is in his restroom. She removes it from the lamp and conceals it behind her, but David notices. He returns her to her room and confronts her about it. Emma fabricates a narrative about Milo awarding her the medal when they were playing. David goes for a drive to get his mind off things when he notices an automobile on the side of the road. He also phones Angela and requests that she locate Emma a therapist. David starts having nightmares about Emma and Milo. The next day, Emma confronts Chloe for placing the medal there. She is enraged. Just thereafter, David appears downstairs and invites Emma to accompany him. He takes her to Milo's house to return the medal to his mother. She is perplexed, but grateful that she returned it. She then informs them about Mrs. Ellis's passing. She'd been in a car accident because of wasps. David is taken aback. Emma starts crying, claiming Mrs. Ellis was her favorite teacher. On the drive home, Emma seems to have forgotten about Mrs. Ellis' death and speaks about baking cookies with Chloe. Emma's attitude has agitated David. Later, when working in the outhouse, David sees that the wasp's nest has vanished. He believes his daughter is responsible for Mrs. Ellis' death. Emma's first visit with her therapist, Dr. March, is the next day. She and Emma have a lengthy conversation. The doctor assures David after the appointment that Emma is just like any other regular child. Emma even fooled a psychiatrist. When the two return home, David notices Chloe sunbathing in her sports bra. He requests that she accompany him to Emma. During their conversation, Chloe tells Emma that David was looking at her seductively before. She also says she can be her stepmother. Emma, enraged, yells at her to stay away from her father. Emma asks David if he likes Chloe that night. David is perplexed. She also discusses Chloe's desire to be her stepmother. David, on the other hand, is late for a date and leaves without much explanation. Chloe subsequently hears a disturbance while watching television. She goes in search of Emma but cannot find her. She glances out the window and notices a shadow in the outhouse. She sets out to find her. The door closes behind her and she enters the outhouse. She attempts to open it, but it appears to be locked from the outside. Just then, a fire breaks out on the floor. Emma can be seen watching Chloe via the window. She tries to hit her, but the fire indulges her, eventually killing her. When David returns home, the firefighters and paramedics inform him of Chloe's death. Emma has been taken to an official's residence. He finally approaches Emma and hugs her. David visits Emma's room that night. He sits in front of her and asks her kindly whether she heard Milo. He promises her that he will do everything in his power to assist her, but she must tell him the truth. Emma finally admits to pushing Milo off the cliff. She justifies herself by claiming that he was going to report her for stealing his medal. She then states nonchalantly that she will not do it again. David is shocked. He then inquires about Mrs. Levia, Emma's former babysitter. She admits to pushing her down the stairs because Mrs. Levia grabbed her hand. She then claims Levia should have been more cautious. Emma becomes more violent as she speaks. When questioned about what she did to Chloe, she rants at David and accuses Chloe of attempting to be her stepmother. David is worried. He cannot believe his small daughter could commit such a heinous murder. The town sheriff contacts David the next morning and says he wants to meet Emma. David, on the other hand, creates an excuse about her being sick. He then drives her to their remote lake cottage. Their housekeeper greets them. Later that day, the sheriff phones David again to tell him that the fire was started on purpose by someone they don't know. He is concerned that his daughter may be apprehended. David keeps a gun in the house. He looks at it now and then, wondering if he can use it to solve the problem. Emma enters David's room the next day while he is sleeping and kisses him. In an attempt to kill her father, she closes all the windows and switches on all the gas stoves. Emma then goes to the lake and stays. Just then, David awakens to the stench of petrol filling the house. He hurriedly opens the windows and switches off the stoves. When he finds Emma outdoors by the lake, he realizes she tried to kill him. He approaches her and inquires as to why she done so. Emma responds that if something were to happen to him, she would be able to go live with her aunt, Angela, who truly likes her. David takes her hand in his and walks her into the home softly. Then we see David crushing his medications. He later offers Emma a cup of hot chocolate. David tucks her into bed after they've finished their hot chocolate. When he returns to his room, he contacts Angela and tells her about Emma's wrongdoings, but she does not believe him. He apologizes to Angela and informs her that he has no other options. David had put chemicals in Emma's hot chocolate in attempts to overdose her so she wouldn't kill any more people, but he does not inform Angela. Emma enters his room one night when he is sleeping. He is holding a rifle and pointing it at himself. She fires but misses, sending the bullet to David's pillow. He is awakened by the noise and asks her how she is still alive. Emma responds that she had swapped her hot chocolate for David's. David attempts to seize the gun from her grasp when he realizes she is ready to kill him. Emma swiftly grabs his phone and dials 911. She then flees to the toilet while David pursues her with the aim to kill her. Emma informs the 911 operator that her father is attempting to murder her. David slams the bathroom door open and points his revolver at Emma. The housekeeper then appears behind him with his firearm. When David is going to kill Emma, he instead shoots him. Emma witnesses her father's death as he collapses to the ground. The police also arrive. Aunt Angela arrives at the scene the following morning. She informs Emma that her father was most likely ill. The film concludes with Emma hugging Angela and smirking, a cold predatory look on her face. Please subscribe to assist the channel, turn on notification and leave a like. Thank you for taking the time to watch. See you again soon.